Hey guys, just got back from Anime Expo this week, Los Angeles. I got some One Piece cards to open, a bunch of stuff, a bunch of figures, posters. It was a blast. But excited for this chapter this week called I Can't Even Die, chapter 1154. And man, the whole chapter, I feel for Loki. I 100% just feel so bad, and I'm gonna delve into it as we go through the chapter. But the last panel, it all just lines up so well, and we get a reveal of Rox D. Zebek, and we finally get the man himself, the hype master. We get revealed, and we'll get to it on the last panel because Oda just throws a little detail in there, like something that's huge at the last little line after under his name. Oh, by the way, this little bit of information, just sprinkle it in there. Like, what do you mean? Anyway, let's go through the chapter, and we get a little piece of Ringo with Yamato's story continuing, and I'm not sure who this person can be. Born in the West Blue, raised in Ringo, and there where Zoro left the sword, but I don't know. The person's still alive, and I'm thinking, some people are thinking they've mentioned Shiki, but that seems really off. But he does have Wano clothing. So we'll continue through the chapter. I'm just going to go through, give my thoughts on the chapter because it just kind of sets up and we're learning about the backstory with Loki. And I'm going to give my thoughts as we go. We get a big piece of information about a young mere human, Lin, who becomes Big Mom in the future, was able to take out Jorul, which is the oldest living man's partner, Ja Rule's friend. Yeah. And it seems really weird that Big Mom is referred to as just a regular person, but anyway, this is sprinkled into the story, so I guess Oda's just telling you, hey, don't forget Big Mom's still a character. She's kind of like related to the history and story of Elbaf, and it kind of just correlates that this is Loki's curse, and this is the biggest proponent of this chapter is propelling to us that everything bad going on is because of Loki's curse. And we see that there is a giant winter, a famine going on in Elbaf. Everybody is freaking out. There's people that are starving to death. The mom is saying to everybody, and I hate this, right? Because this lie that this mother is saying, at least the mother is the one that came up with this rumor or myth or whatever. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody come up with it. She started by saying this child's cursed, and everybody has just repeated what she said because she's the queen, right? She's supposedly the queen. Not a big fan of this, but this is just adds to her being a bad person, a bad character. Not a bad character, just a bad person. And she is kind of the reason that everybody started echoing that, at least as far as I know, that they're echoing that Loki's cursed because she keeps saying he's cursed and she doesn't accept him as her son. And he's just a child. You can see he's longing for his mother. He's trying to approach her. He keeps going back, breaks through the wall, trying to get to his mother, trying to get her to accept him, and it just does not work. She keeps pushing him away, and this kind of just makes Loki grow up the way he does. And it's very frustrating, but good storytelling by Oda. It just kind of strings along, and we see why he is the way he is. Later on, at least. And then he grows up and he starts to develop a difference. He starts changing, and we'll get into it. But you see everybody starving. You see the severity saying, this is our last piece of bread. To a child, though the mother's telling the child, and there's giants that are starting to pillage other villages in Elbaf because of how bad things are getting. They're not going to take over humans because of Harold's idealism and putting it to the people that, hey, we can't just go out and attack regular people because that's not how we do things anymore. We are creating connections. And there are people that are very strong believers in this, and they don't say we should go out and just pillage human villages. We're going to just do it inside Elbaf. So that's what happens, and they start taking other villages' resources while everybody's struggling, everybody's suffering, everybody is hungry, and it just creates a massive, bloodbath. And Hydrudin catches some strays because he's saying, some giants are saying, you're Loki's brother. You are his oldest brother. You should be paying the price for this curse too, because they're thinking the famine is the curse, the winter is the curse. They don't know any better. And they just go ahead and they start attacking Ida, and they start saying nasty things. You're a foreigner, you're not from here. And Harold comes in to the rescue, saves his it's the wife's still alive, but it's anyway. Saves his son, saves his son's mother, and I thought Harold was supposed to be a peacekeeper, loving, and all that. He wasn't supposed to be doing damage to people, right? But he smashes the hell out of this guy, and he straight up says, "I'll flatten you." So it's kind of funny. So I don't think everybody else saw that he was what's it called? He wasn't hurting people, but in Elbaf he was definitely still, at least maybe it came out later that he wasn't hurting people, but that was a few years ago, so I don't know. But he definitely just hits people. It's not like he doesn't. So as we see here, he hurts this person, saves Hajuden, and he tells everybody that due to the due to the communications and helping other people and giving trade and creating good conditions, he gets other humans to actually come to their aid. Because what better can you do than creating good relations with giants who is one of the most feared, powerful races of the past century? You want to get their good fortune. And as he says, Harold says, and I give it to him, this is great growth from Harold. As you see how he started at the age of, quote unquote 15 to the age he is now, he's grown so much. At 18, 15, 18, I mean, as a person, I know I wasn't, fully developed frontal lobe, but like as he's growing and you see him getting tedious and writing and reading and doing all this, he's growing as a person, and he creates this good communication and mentions that he will come to their aid if any of these nations, any of these people need the giants' help. He will help 100%, because his whole country at the moment is suffering, and you see many ships coming with food to their aid. It's huge, 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 huge for the nation of Elbaf, and for the people that are helping. They get some protection from Elbaf in this case too, because this is a ginormous country they're helping. And it's just mind-baffling, like the growth that Elbaf and the king are having in the story in 50 years basically. Well, no, how many years ago was it? 80, right? 80 something years ago, or 100? No, 105 years ago. And this is 60 years ago, man. In a growth of 40 years, even though it's into the giant terms is a small set of time, but it's huge. It's a big leap in growth for them. Other than that, so he just mentions it's important to help everybody on this world. And you see the next thing is the wife dies. The queen dies, which is like, I thought she was already dead last chapter, but anyway, Oda just finishes that off. She's dead. No more of her in the story. Fine by me, man. Fine by me. But to her last breath, she denounced and rejected Loki, which is still so unfortunate. Now we go to Harold picking up his son, and he is not smiling, which is so sad, because Harold, I feel, truly loves his son to the depths of his heart, and he just gets one panel with him and he goes right back out to sea. So we just see a void in Loki that does not get filled, because Harold is out doing something that is super important, but he doesn't realize that his son is being completely neglected, and he just grows up with this void, with this neglect, with everybody hating him. And I hate it, because the queen, the next thing he does is he messes up and they tell him he doesn't actually see his son's eyes. They say his eyes are affected, and they bandaged his eyes, so his eyes are, he can't see his son's eyes. I hate that. So he doesn't, I mean, he might see it later, but he doesn't see it now. And he says, that's very unfortunate of my child, but that's okay. And the next thing he does is he gets right back to work, and he gives it to his freaking uncle. He gives him to his uncle, the brother of the sister, who the freaking things he says to the child are grotesque. It's awful. Why would you give it to the uncle when you, I don't know. Ida is right there with Hydruden. Why would you not help Loki grow up with Hydruden and Ida? I feel there's such a disconnect there, but he goes off to work, and I dislike this approach by Harold. When Ida was right there, I don't know. I feel like you missed an opportunity there, but it definitely just deepens his frustration, Loki's void, Loki's neglect, and all that. So the next thing is Ida's tavern. So there's which kind of makes me sad right now, because I know we didn't see Ida on that tavern, but that is her tavern, and it has stood the test of time, 60 something years. Hydruden was there growing up with his mother, and it welcomed the ships. It's the first thing, or one of the first things, if a ship circles, there's a tavern there that ships will be able to see and dock to and ask questions or do whatever. It's the first thing that they encounter on Elbaf, in the land of the realm of the dead. And the monsters are kind of don't even approach it. It's too walled off to go to. And let me see, what else here? Yeah, but that means that if that's Ida's tavern and she lives there, right? We don't know if she does or doesn't. If she lives there, then I don't know if she's still alive, because this is 60 years ago. We don't know if somebody would have attacked the tavern and something happened to Ida, or maybe she's just not there anymore. Maybe she got something happened, but the tavern's still there. There's definitely people. Colin, we met at the tavern, so we're gonna have to see what happens, but I have a feeling that it's Loki related, right? We have every time Jarul speaks something of history, I am listening, ears wide open, man. I'm all ears, listening to any piece of history you have. Like, this is Jarul who says more stuff just casual. It's like Brooke spewing. Oh, that's the Holy Knights. Brother, what do you mean? You missed out some important information we could have used, that they're immortal. Why are you saying that? Anyway, this is kind of just like a piece of lore that we don't know about, but Jarul talks to Harold that, hey, before there were some people, do you know about the Warhammers? And he said, and Harold just says, okay, they were a myth, right? Of like people that carried Warhammers and stuff. No, they were called Warhammer Company, right? Yeah, giants that just carried Warhammers. They were a myth, right? Jarul's like, no, I got their last letter. What do you mean, man? Anyway, it's not like a big deal, right? It's not huge information like the Holy Knights from Brooke, right? But he just kind of drops some lore like, oh yeah, they were real. I got their last letter, and they all said, we got captured. The last thing they said is, we're captured. And that was 100 men that they had were captured while they were going out there. So it's just so awesome. And Jarul still had some black hair at this point. But they were all taken prisoners. And they're saying Harold is saying, who would have done it? Was it the world government itself? Because they're saying there's some animosity to giants still, the remnants of giants. There might be a large enemy taking care of giants. Because Jarul even says there's an army of frozen giants somewhere, and he doesn't remember where because he's so darn old. He says they took prisoner of all the Warhammer giants. That's a ton of giants. And at a certain point in history, And then he says that at a certain point in history that the giants faced a great enemy, but that history is long gone. And Jeru is 400 years old in the current timeline. So now he's 300 something years old saying all this. And it just like there's a lore, your 400 years of knowledge is so important, is so impactful. But he mentions that there most likely is a great enemy that was faced by the giants. And Harold kind of starts thinking, could it be the world government? Is there something that they're hiding? Because he's been to the Reverie, which he mentions to Jarul. I was there and my cover was almost blown. It just flows. It just flows perfectly. Somebody killed an admiral and that is what let me escape, because a king let him sneak in as his bodyguard, which, first of all, that is an ancient giant. That is Harold. Maybe they don't know what he looks like, but like this dude is huge. How do you? Everybody is normal sized in the Reverie. This dude is ginormous. How do you? Would you miss him? He has aura, no? He has like Conqueror's Haki, I'm sure, because Loki is kind of just born with it. Not born with it, but like he gets it very quickly, very soon in his life. So I don't know. It's kind of like, well, what would have deterred, what would have like distracted people from this giant dude? Oh, an admiral died. An admiral died? We haven't seen something like that in. That's shocking. I don't know who would have killed an admiral. You must be in the Reverie. You must be monstrous, right? But later we find out. Later we find out. So we'll continue with the chapter, but we have Loki growing up. Loki basically kills his uncle because screw that guy. That guy also deserves to die. He was found dead. Fuck that guy. But yeah, we're seeing the progression of Elbaf and seeing the success of Elbaf with other nations. And Harold's dream is becoming true. Meanwhile, Loki is kind of just grown up. We're getting him as a more of a grown up. As time goes on, he grows up. You see him get older, and he just starts creating havoc. You know, he starts attacking people. He starts just owning up the title that he's prince, because he is by blood and by all means in the nation, the next prince, the next king. And he kind of just does whatever he wants, torturing people even. And Heidrun tries to stand up to him, but Loki's huge. Like when you see Loki stand up to next to Heidrun, he is so much bigger, and he's just able to bonk Heidrun, and he's so much stronger. But even being younger, he is already so much taller. But we know he's taller. He gets to be way taller in the story because of his ancient giant blood. But then you see as he hits Heidrun and he falls to the ground, everybody comes to help him. And Loki just keeps making fun of him. Oh, you all need to huddle together. You weak people stick together like that. And he keeps like taunting them. Even though some people are mentioning he's sort of the prince too, Loki does not accept that, which is pretty funny. He does not want to have him as his brother. He also stands by his mother has filthy blood. He's not an actual like Elbaf prince, all that. But the next thing we see is it's so heartbreaking, because he's just playing it off. He really has a void. He can't feel anything almost. I feel, right? He can't feel anything, and he jumps off. He's just so mad. Like, you can tell he's crying because his nose is running, and he jumps off. He's running, he's fighting, and he kind of just keeps running, and you see he jumps off from the sun realm, and he falls. And this was actually a suicide attempt, and he tells himself, I can't even die, because he's so strong. No matter the fall, he can't die. And as you know, Heidrun, rushing to go to the underworld, he said, we're gonna die. He can't, he himself, I think at the stage he's in right now, which may be kind of weird, he said, we're gonna die falling from this height inside the boat. Which goes to show how strong young Loki at 7 years old, I think this is like quote unquote 7 years old, how strong he is, and it's heartbreaking. But we get the absolute hype. The one thing I feel everybody's gonna talk about for the next week is this panel right here, and let's break it down. The first thing we see, a mountain get chopped, and this is no little mountain. This is a giant mountain, giant. It gets chopped. The top just gets chopped, and they're saying, what is up with this island? What is wrong with this place? And the monsters are going to see what it is. And these four figures approach. We see Shiki, we see Whitebeard. They're asking who this is. This is a giant kid. This is the land of Elbaf. So I'm guessing this is the first time they themselves might have seen Elbaf. We have young Whitebeard, young Shiki, young Stussy in the next panel. And we have the guy, the man, the leader himself, but not yet. This is prior to the Rocks Pirates. We have Rox D. Xebec make his appearance, no silhouette. And it's awesome, man. You see his face and you see a resemblance. You see a resemblance, and we read his name. Because the first thing I saw was his name. The Rox D. Xebec, future captain of the Rocks Pirates. So he's not captain yet. And in little letters, Oda includes father of Emperor Blackbeard. What do you mean it's his father? You're just gonna drop the lore like that? Just like that? Randomly? It's in his title card? It's his father? I mean, I think some people weren't even some people would have thrown the theory out there like, yeah, since it's the Saber of Xebec's his ship, maybe Xebec's his dad. Like, I don't know. That seems like, I don't know. I didn't really consider that it's his dad because I feel like somebody would have known, right? Somebody somehow would have known. No, man. Even a Whitebeard gave him no, because did Whitebeard know? Does Blackbeard himself know? Like, somehow he must know because he has a booklet, and the booklet is the most important thing that tells him how to rule the world. So he definitely knows something about his dad, right? But the thing he says is, I have two questions. And we have the narrator box saying that Harold spotted this man 8 years ago during the reverie. So Xebec was in the reverie. He killed an admiral casually and vanished. He's the one that killed an admiral. He got a major bounty for that. And he looks like, if you see the resemblance, that he is the father of Emperor Blackbeard. He looks like Blackbeard, just different hairstyle. And his face, his nose, his eyes, it's Blackbeard's dad. I see the resemblance. It's insane. Because you can tell Gold Roger is Ace's dad in like his most recent showings. It's so funny. It's basically him. His dad, anyway. But some people were saying, and I think it would be so funny that the way because he has no sword, right? You look at his design, he has no sword, but some people were saying, oh, he has his fingers out like this. What ability or devil fruit uses hands? He's just asking two questions. That's what he's telling, and that's what I'm getting, right? He's asking Loki, I have two questions. Who is this Elbaf, right? What was it? Is this Elbaf, land of the giants, and is this where we find Harold? Loki's gonna answer later on, but some people were confusing that hand sign as using the ability. I don't think that's the ability. I think my man has a cutting devil fruit, and I think, the memes are gonna be outlandishly good, because I think the devil fruit ability he has is Buggy's chop fruit. I'm calling it now. This man has the chop fruit, and he's gonna have the same exact devil fruit as Xebec, and it's just gonna be glorious. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm calling, at least. Other than that, I'm so hyped to see what happens next with Xebec. How unhinged is Zebek in this case? How does he basically beats up Loki in the future, as we know, and doesn't let him join a crew. But Zebek doesn't have a crew at the moment. Maybe a little makeshift crew, but they're just traveling around right now, as far as we can tell. So this is his first introduction to Zebek, and the first thing Whitebeard says is, "Why are you crying, kid?" So the Whitebeard's still there. I feel is he keeps his nature even since young. And Shiki's laughing at him because he looks like a devil because of his eyes. So my most important thing is, did Whitebeard try his best to turn Loki to be a family member? Like, did he know that this was Zebek's son? He kind of picked up Blackbeard along the way. So I don't think he knew that Zebek had a son. But Blackbeard definitely sought to get on Whitebeard's ship, get on a Yonko crew, was probably in his like master plan, right? So I'm not sure, but I really want to know more about how Blackbeard came to be, because no, in 25 plus years, we're gonna have the Valley incident, God's Valley incident. So there's plenty of time, but a little before that, you need to have Blackbeard born before God's Valley. So in 20 something years, but we don't get any of that information. All that all that's got to be told by Blackbeard. We're in Loki's field of vision, and the narrator focusing on Elbaf. So we'll see what Zebek does. I don't know if he talks to Harold. Maybe he waits for Harold in the next few chapters, waiting to talk to Harold. Maybe to have him join his future crew. Harold is a monster, so he wants that person on his crew because he wants to talk to Harold for some reason. But there's so much, and I've dragged on this video for so long, but please guys, let me know if you want me to talk about something else. I have enjoyed talking about this chapter, maybe a little too long, but this chapter is so hype. I'm not really sure what else to add to it other than my thoughts on why Loki has gotten the way that he is, with the most rejection of people, the lack of empathy and love that he's gotten while growing up. Which, now that reminds me, I want to bring up that Luffy is really, I think, one of the very few people that's saying, "Hey, join my crew. Hey, I like you. Hey, let me feed you. Hey, let me give you this. Hey, do you need this?" He's just, like, for a lack of better term, he is love bombing Loki, so much so that he might even say, "Nobody's treated me the way you've treated me. Nobody's accepted me the way you've accepted me the moment you met me. I'll join your crew." Like, I think, I'm calling it now, that Loki's Devil Fruit will make him small enough to join the crew. He's gonna join the crew somehow, some way, and he's gonna be able to fit on the ship by shrinking himself down with his Devil Fruit ability. It's gotta happen, man. I think Oda's gonna revert expectations, because immediately in your head you're saying, that dude cannot fit on the ship. That dude's automatically not gonna go on the crew. It's impossible. Even if he joins, he has to ship on the Grand Fleet. Like, best we can do is Loki's part of the Grand Fleet. No, I think Loki is gonna join the crew. I'm calling it now, man. He has the sad backstory, just like Yamato, but he has the sad backstory. He has the okay to join the crew from Luffy because he offered it. And that offer doesn't go away, as we saw with Yamato. He says, "You can join my crew," and that offer is valid all the way until the end of the arc. I'm thinking this is gonna happen. This is definitely part of the lore, man. He's gonna join the crew. Anyway, I feel like that would be awesome, right? Because Luffy will have a giant on his crew. Like, a Yonko with a giant on his crew he's got to do it, right? He's got to fight the other person on Blackbeard's crew that's a giant and gets bigger, right? Maybe. I feel like it'll fit, but Blackbeard's crew has the exact numbers as Luffy's, I think, right now. We'll see, but it'll fit fighting that giant, I think. Anyway, I think that's it for me, guys. Please let me know if you want me to talk about something else, talk about a different theory, improve something, audio, light. I got to improve light, background. Please let me know, guys. I'm enjoying making these videos. As always, please leave me a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.